Nintendo has a bad habit. During the 2000s, they had a tendency to create games that were masterpieces, and then follow them up by releasing dumbed-down, shallower sequels on the Wii. Super Smash Bros. Melee and Brawl, Mario All-Star Baseball, and Sluggers. The list of disappointing sequels goes on and on and on. But there's one title from that GameCube Golden Age that was good when it released, and then great when the sequel came out. Earlier this year, we covered a Mario sports game that many of us remember fondly, Super Mario Strikers. In that video, we mentioned that the Wii sequel was, by all accounts, just as good, if not even better, than the original. It took what made its predecessor shine as a competitive title and cranked it up to 11. With online play, new mechanics, and competition reminiscent of early 2000s Clan Wars, the game we're talking about today remains a healthy competitive title with a thriving community supporting it. Let's take a moment to look back at one of the rare instances where Nintendo did almost everything right. This is Mario Strikers Charged. Before we start today's video, I just want to remind you that if you like the content we make at Akshon Esports and want to see more videos on topics like Mario Strikers Charged, consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay up to date. We'd really appreciate it. Anyway, back to the video. Mario Strikers Charged released for the Nintendo Wii in 2007. Building on the foundation set by the original GameCube version, Charged featured gameplay balance, visual upgrades, and multiplayer improvements, which netted the game near universal praise. Although it was criticized for having slim pickings in terms of single-player content, in less than a year, Charged would sell over 1.7 million copies, eventually getting to 2.6 million copies sold and earning it the distinction as the second highest-selling Mario sports title behind Mario Tennis Aces. So how did Charged improve on the original Mario Strikers? At its base level, Charged allows players to have greater control over the ball and has a much higher emphasis on scoring. Due in large part to the development of various trick shots that effectively guarantee a goal, the Mario Charged meta is all about controlling the pace of the match so you can set up your shots and rack up points.
A trick shot, more or less, is a specific technique using the deeper aspects of the game's mechanics, most notably the Z button lob, but it's not strictly limited to that. It can utilize items, it can utilize uncharged shots. There's a myriad of ways you can do trick shots, and basically what a trick shot does is it gives you a guaranteed goal. And that is a very big difference from its predecessor, is that a lot of the design of Mario Strikers Charged is that it gives the player greater control over how they can guarantee a goal. And there's a lot of very specific maneuvers and abilities. Some of them are not trick shots necessarily that allow you to do that in Mario Strikers Charged.
But not everyone was happy with the competitive geared focus. In addition to trick shots, the game introduced a new charged mechanic which gave players access to new, more powerful shots. Characters could charge while holding the ball to perform a stronger shot that could overwhelm the goalkeeper. This, along with tons of other smaller tweaks, meant that Charged was more offensive driven and had a much higher skill ceiling.
There was a very large contingent of players that absolutely hated and fiercely resisted the idea of trick shots and the whole competitive meta that was developing. And I think players of today don't necessarily appreciate the flame wars and struggles that existed in this time. People vociferously argued against trick shots and accused them, oh, it's ruining a game purely meant for fun, or that they were unintended exploits. And the competitive community was continually sparring in a verbal sense with this contingent of players, some of which even were actual clan players.
If you watched our last video, you'll know that Strikers is one of the few Nintendo titles where competitive play keeps items on, and Charged is no different. Items play a key role in setting up shots and playing defense. While the Strikers Chain Chomp was a meta-breaking item that is still in contention today, MSC solved the issue once and for all.
If we would ban an item, it would definitely not be the chain jump, because the chain jump in Mario Strikers Charged is so easy to dodge. Like, he's really brain dead. You just run in circles and the chain jump will never catch up to you. You can even use it against the opponent as a shield and crush their own defense with it.
While its gameplay innovations are important to discuss, MSC also has an important place in gaming history. Mario Strikers Charged was the first Nintendo property to introduce online ranked play.
this was a very interesting time for the Nintendo Wii. You know, kids and teenagers, adults even across the globe were logging into an online Nintendo service on a Nintendo console for the very first time. So it was very hectic and chaotic and tumultuous. People were figuring out, you connect with people by adding them with your friend code. Where we actually going to talk with people? Because we did not have integrated message boards or messaging or anything of the sort. So what realistically occurred is that people went to enthusiast forums, namely GameFAQs. And in the midst of all the people, figuring out how they were going to communicate, exchange friend codes, what the rules were, and so on and so forth, in the midst of this absolute chaos, of people trying to emulate the current, Xbox and PS3 clan culture.
Anyone who played a shooter or RTS in the early 2000s remembers what it meant to get accepted into a gaming clan. Of course, Nintendo being Nintendo, they made no such effort to offer a clan system or anything like that in-game, but that didn't stop players from banding together and challenging each other to clan wars through forums and chat rooms.
How did I get into the clan scene? I looked up into Google. There were some competitive tournaments. Like, I thought to myself, we have an online mode. There has to be some kind of competition in that. Like, I want to play some tournaments or something. And I found a German local Mario Strikers Charged League where I signed up. It was called, I don't even remember it. Texted some guys there because you always had to contact your opponents before you got into the actual match. Like, when can you play? Where do we play? Which stadium? Stuff like that. And there I met a guy named Xeras. That guy was from a clan named Triforce P4 Online Gaming, and he said to me, "You're not bad. Do you want to join our clan? Like, do you want to be part of us?" And I thought to myself, I haven't ever heard about something like this in a Mario game, and do I really want to join there? But I thought to myself, maybe they have some other really good players, and maybe I can improve. So I said, why not? I'll join.
With Clan Wars still so new to the Nintendo world, and MSC's ranked mode operating with a less than perfect rule set, it fell to the clans themselves to figure out exactly how their battles should function.
Well, first of all, we had to determine the rules. Like, we didn't have a standard rule set back then. It was just that either the clan leader or the squad leader of the respective clan would get in touch with the counterpart, and then you discuss, like, how do we play this clan war? What format is it? Is it like a 3v3? Is it a 4v4, 5v5, whatever? There was a format where you basically had one opponent, which you had to play 2 or 3 times, and then the results were added up. And there were formats like everyone played everyone, like player A plays player B and player A and player C. Everyone faces every possible opponent. And that was something that had to be determined before the actual clan war was played out. So it differed a lot.
At the competitive height of the game, people were playing each other over friend code matches. And there would be specific rule sets that were agreed upon beforehand between the participants, whether that was individual players or clans. As you noted in the Strikers 1 video, the community keeps items on in Strikers Charged as well, because it actually is a major component of how the game's risk and reward system is balanced. So items are on. It's typically played in a best of 3, or sometimes in like grand finals or something, it would be a best of 5.
Given Nintendo's history, you might expect clans to have to eventually settle their scores offline due to poor online functionality. While the online functionality was, in fact, poor, the reality of what happened is even more tragic.
You may be surprised to learn that compared, especially to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which a lot of people eventually, like in the second phase of the Strikers community, were leaving the Strikers for, is that people were returning to Strikers because a lot of the way its online infrastructure worked was very pro-player, actually. For example, it did matchmaking connection checks, something that a good deal of today's game developers would be deathly afraid of, And before every single match, whether in ranked gameplay or friend match, there are 4 stars that would appear on the screen, and you would be able to see the connection quality, not just in the immediate term, but in the long term, if you stuck on the screen for a bit. And you would see how stable the connection was. And, a 4-star connection was kind of, it lines up with the present day ideal of connectivity. And a 3-star, it's like, it's going to have significant input delay. And 2-star and 1-star was, pretty bad. And you could always, no matter what mode you were playing, you could refuse any connection you wanted. And that was very pro player. You could always play with the best possible connections in Strikers Charged. And honestly, I've had 4-star connections in Strikers Charged all the way back, in the 2000s, where I was playing with people from Mexico. And it was very consistently good. I would say that Strikers Charged infrastructure for online is frankly some of the best Nintendo's ever had. And I think that's actually a very, disappointing thing to have to say, but it's true.
As one of the only online multiplayer titles, MSC was popular and had highly active clans in its early days. Clans from across Europe and North America rose up to battle for supremacy and push the game as far as they could.
Network, Chaos Gaming, NCG. That was the first clan that came to my mind, but there were others, like Gold Cobra already mentioned. Excessive Force, that was a very early clan that got successful in the game, but wasn't very active for a very long time period. But those 2 were European clans. Of course, there were also very good American clans like Charge Brigade and We Troopers. But I wasn't that much into the NTSC or the American scene of Mario Strikers Charged because the game was region locked and we were unable to play between the regions back then. So
a lot of the current meta was really developed in the context of this clan, which, by the way, had an integrated league system, which is really the only major league that ever existed in the early stages of Mario Strikers. And we were pushing this game to its limits. A lot of the trick shots, for example, were developed in the context of this clan. For example, the Titans chip is something you see a lot in competitive gameplay. And that is because someone in the Wii Troopers named Titan Kratos was the person who discovered and popularized that trick. Other ones like the bug spray and the quick pick, amongst others, it really owed their genesis to the, maybe not necessarily just the Wii Troopers, but the competitive scene that it was creating, because obviously other clans were rising up to challenge the Wii Troopers because we were the big thing to defeat.
Unfortunately, the hype surrounding MSC was short-lived. Less than a year after its release, Nintendo released 2 of the Wii's most popular titles, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and soon after, Mario Kart Wii. Both of these games also had online functionality, and both of these games were huge successes.
Yeah, not really the best move to release Mario Strikers Charged before Mario Kart Wii, which of course has sold extremely well. I think it's one of the best-selling games from Nintendo. And I know that many people were moving over to Mario Kart Wii, and it's still the most played Wii game to date due to the custom servers. And then 1 year after, Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out, and I think that was just a nail in the coffin, that Mario Strikers Charged is just forgotten. And ever since we were back to being a small community with different websites, as Joker mentioned before, or maybe some forums or something from different smaller clans maybe, or even communities where you maybe found your place for a few weeks or months until this community or clan died out, and then you had to find your next one. And then it's pretty much a fast forward to 2014 where everything found its end due to the server shutdown.
As Nintendo fans, the majority of MSC's active player base simply moved on to the next big Nintendo property, leaving Mario Strikers Charged behind. But those who stayed with the title formed a small, dedicated community that's still around to this day. Players fought for years to keep the game alive through various websites, but despite their best efforts, it seemed that 2014 would be the last year for Charged, as Nintendo shut down the Wii's online servers for good.
It was so sad when they shut off the original servers. I still remember it. I still remember when the day came and I knew, oh damn it, today is the last day. I'll be able to play Mario Strikers Charged online. And I made one last big session with Gold Cobra and the prototype back then. And we all knew it's going to end. And I basically buried it after it. I thought now it's over. Everything that will never return. Let's put this game into his grave and move on. So I buried it. I moved on. I played different games on other consoles. I made my peace with the game, and I didn't ever think I'd return. Even when Gold Cobra told me that he's created a server for it and some old faces are still there, I wasn't interested because corpses should be left in their coffin and not be digged out, But after years, it turned out that many more things were possible again. Like I remember in the very early stages of Wimfi, it wasn't possible to play friendly matches. Like you were only able to play random matches via the ranked mode. That was the only thing that really worked back then, because otherwise you would get desynchronized. But everything improved also thanks to a lot of very talented modders like Nobody. They made it possible that we could finally reuse all the modes and functions we've had within the official server days. And I basically made my comeback in, I think it was late 2018 or early 2019, when we started to have regular tournaments and stuff like that. I was pretty rusty at first, but it didn't take too long to get back into it, and now I'm fully back into the competitive scene again.
Having never developed a local offline ecosystem, MSC was effectively dead without online support. It would be nearly 3 years before the game received a small revival thanks to support from online gaming service Wimfi, which allowed players to compete online once again. And as it turns out, a small revival is all the community needed. With the game finally playable online, the community started to rebuild, finding a home on Discord, and quickly flourished into an active, die-hard scene. Today, the Mario Strikers Discord not only serves as a meeting place for hundreds of players, but also operates as an honest-to-goodness esports league. The Mario Strikers League provides full competitive seasons for both Strikers and Charged.
And in 2021, we launched the Mario Strikers League with a concept where you have like 3 splits, which is basically, I think, nowadays a main format for esports. I only know it from Rocket League, for example, because I play myself Rocket League. So we thought like having a spring split, a summer split, and a fall split, which also acts as a circuit. You earn your MSLP, that's how it's called, the Mario Strikers League points. So the higher you rank, the more points you gain over the splits, and each split will award more points. After all these 3 splits, we thought like, well, there is not really a competitive Mario Strikers scene other than us. So we will just call it for ourselves the World Championship. And I think last year we had for both games 8 players for the World Championship, which were technically until then the best players to find out who is actually our world champions. And then we thought like, okay, this was our first season. We asked for feedback, what could be done better and so on. So we thought about having maybe different formats for this year, which is MSL 2022. To have for spring split, for example, like a qualifier event, then going into a Swiss system, just to have some different formats to keep everything fresh and not having always a same format which I find personally, or we found to be getting very repetitive and boring. So we are trying to keep everything also fresh with different systems. And for Summer Split, we were planning to have group stage into a double elimination bracket. And for the Fall Split, we are trying to go for a double elimination for the first phase and also double elimination for the second phase. And then it turned out, of course, in February that a new Mario Strikers game comes out finally. So we're still in discussion how we want to run Mario Strikers Battle League, as it is currently still unclear what sizes will be possible. So can we only offer a 1v1 play, or is it possible to play 2v2 at the same time? Is it even possible to play 4v4? At least it sounded like 4v4, but after today's trailer, I'm not so sure anymore. So we still have to wait a little longer to find out how Battle League actually works with online and what's possible.
The first iteration of the league saw longtime veteran and interviewee in this video, Joker, take home the championship for MSC. And this first season was just the tip of the iceberg. With Mario Strikers Battle League, the Strikers and MSC communities could come together and build a legitimate household esport. While the community will still need to take some time to assess the game's competitive viability and tweak the rule sets, you can expect to see MSL action in the new title coming soon.
I'm seeing this very similar. I think in the Super Mario Strikers video you did, it was Pite that said it. I don't think Strikers Charged is going to vanish over Battle League. Battle League is just going to be another entry in the series, and of course, when it freshly releases, everyone will be playing it, myself included. But I guess over time we will still have all three games together, like one big family of Strikers, and everyone will play whatever they feel like playing. So I'm just happy that we get a new installment after such a long time, and I have a lot of faith into Next Level Games that they will create a wonderful new Mario Strikers game. I mean, it looks fantastic. I like the new gameplay elements. The character customization looks cool. The great art style that it has. I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm looking very forward to it. And yeah, in my opinion, it won't replace anything. It'll just be another entry in the series, which is a good thing.
In an era where most sports games focus on realism, the Mario sports titles offer a welcome departure from reality with a surprisingly consistent level of competitive depth. Mario Strikers Charged may not have gotten a proper chance to prosper the first time around, but with an active community, stable competitive ecosystem, and a new game driving players into the scene, the future looks bright for this wacky arena soccer esport. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on Mario Strikers Charged? Are you gonna hop into the Discord and get some games in while you wait for the new game to come out? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
This video was made possible thanks to our wonderful patrons. A huge thank you to everybody on this list, and shout out to Jason, B, Brendan, Kubi, Foxy, Mauve, Pachana, Sierra, Shampoo, Spartacus, and Yoshichi for being platinum supporters. And an extra special shout out to Steven, Gimbimbi, and Marco for being diamond supporters. Thank you so much everyone, we really appreciate it. If you want to talk to us, check out our Discord. Or if you want to support our channel and get info on unreleased videos, check out our Patreon. If you want to help us out in a different way, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is also appreciated. My name is Nikita, and thank you for watching.